Since being pregnant this time around, the question that I've been asked, hands down more than any other, is are we going to find out if we're having a boy or a girl? Now, Channel Mum has been talking all about gender reveals this month. There's so many videos on the Channel Mum website, which I will link down below in the description box, all about other vloggers' experiences with gender reveals, gender disappointment, preferences, you name it, it's been talked about. So do go and check out those videos. But I just thought I would have a little chat to you about my personal experiences with each and every pregnancy so far. On all of our pregnancies, my husband has never wanted to find out what we're having. And that has been the same for all four. He is very much team yellow. He wants to wait until the end. My feelings have differed on it each time. With my first pregnancy, I can't even remember discussing it in that much detail with my husband. I think we both just knew that we wanted to wait until the baby was born to find out whether it was a boy or a girl, and that's just what we planned to do right from the beginning. I can honestly say that I just didn't have a preference at all with my first baby. I knew I wanted to have a boy and a girl if it was possible for me to do so. I wanted a little boy because I always wanted a brother when I was growing up, and preferably a big brother. And I obviously didn't. I was one of two girls, so I would have loved for it to have been a boy for that reason. And I knew deep down that one day I really wanted to have a girl, just because I wanted that sort of mother-daughter relationship as well. So either way, I would have been over the moon. I didn't really feel like I had any inkling either way either. Of course, there was the usual, people had theories left, right and centre about the way I was carrying and my cravings and things like that, but I didn't really pay much attention to those, and I didn't really feel like I knew one way or the other. We had our little list of possible names decided. We knew what we wanted to call it if it was a boy and what we wanted to call it if it was a girl, and I was perfectly happy with our decision. When it came to baby number 2, it was a little bit more complicated. Obviously, inside I knew that I wanted a boy and a girl if that was possible for me, and that was sort of at the back of my mind when I was pregnant with my second baby. I feel like I have to say this, but I would have been thrilled with a boy because it would have given Dylan a little brother. But for me personally, for like my selfish reasons, I kind of was wavering towards hoping that it was a girl. This made my decision about whether or not we should find out the gender more complicated this time around. If I'm completely honest, I was worried that if we found out and I was having a boy, that it might change how I felt. And realistically, I don't think it would have, because you bond with your baby regardless, don't you? When there's, especially after that 20-week point when you could have found out, because they start getting so much bigger and you feel them so much more. And I think regardless, it wouldn't have changed. It was in the back of my mind that if I found out, it might sort of change my experience in the last half of pregnancy, and I really didn't want that, because I knew that if I didn't find out, the second the baby was born, everything would go out the window and it wouldn't matter either way, as long as the baby was healthy and everything was fine. So my reasoning was, don't find out and just wait for the surprise, and you will fall in love instantly, regardless of whether it's a girl or a boy. So we didn't find out, and we stayed on team yellow again for the second pregnancy and found out when the baby was born. And as it turned out, it was a little girl. My second baby was quite a difficult labour, definitely way more difficult than my first. She actually came out with her hand up against her face like she was trying to wave, and my waters didn't break until she came out, so it was quite painful at that point and quite slow getting to that point. So I can just remember it being quite long and difficult process. But when she was actually born and my husband said it's a girl, I can just take myself back to that moment, just like it was yesterday. I just burst into tears. I just didn't believe that it was a girl, that I could be that lucky that I would have a boy and then a girl. And I just burst into tears and couldn't stop. I just asked, I think 10 or 12 times, is it a girl, is it a girl, are you sure, keep checking. And even when I looked myself and could see that yes, it was definitely a girl, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I was that lucky. Then fast forward a few years to baby number 3, and it was almost like starting from scratch again. It was almost like, because I had a boy and a girl, first off, when I was pregnant, there was a lot of, oh, was this planned? Because you already have a boy and a girl, so why are you having another one? But that's a whole separate video. But there was a lot of that sort of, why are you having another one if you've got a boy and a girl? And because I would just want another baby. I don't care if it's a boy or a girl. It's nothing to do with that. Some people just can't get their heads around that. But anyway, aside from that, it was like a clean slate. There were quite a few years between my daughter and my 3rd pregnancy, so it really did feel like a whole new experience all over again. It's strange. In terms of the gender, my feelings on what the gender of the baby was and whether or not we were going to find out, it felt like Dylan all over again. I just felt like I just genuinely didn't want to know until the baby was born. Genuinely didn't have a preference because I had one of each, so I was thrilled either way. And one thing that I would say is that I definitely, because I'd been pregnant with a boy and a girl, I definitely read into things more, I think. I was more kind of, oh, my bump is this shape, so that must mean it's a boy. Or on some days, oh, I want to eat a lot of chocolate, so must be a girl. And I remember doing that a lot more on my 3rd pregnancy than I ever did before, trying to kind of guess what it was based on things. But in all truthfulness, I think my pregnancies have all been quite similar. I've never had one that stands out as definitely, oh yeah, I feel that way when I'm having a boy and I feel that way when I'm having a girl. That doesn't seem to be the case for me. They all seem to be quite similar. I don't get a great deal of morning sickness. I get quite bad nausea, but I've never been sick with any of my pregnancies. My body and my bump seems to be a similar shape every time. Sometimes my bum gets a bit bigger than others, but I think that's more down to how many knobbly bobblies I eat rather than anything else. Dylan and Mary were still quite young, so they didn't really show any particular preference about what they wanted, so I was just thrilled that we were having another baby. And when he was born and we found out he was a he, they fell in love with him. I've never seen a relationship like it. Both of them absolutely adore him, and still, he's 4 now, and they just, as much as they did on day 1 when they first met him, they completely idolize him. They think he's the cutest, most amazing little thing. He's probably a bit spoiled because of it, because everybody gives him so much fuss and attention, but they adored him from the word go, and I don't think it would have made a difference if he was a boy or a girl or, you know, whatever he was. They just loved having a baby in the family and loved him. So it didn't really feel like I'd missed out on not finding out with Aiden, or that I was frustrated that I couldn't find out, or wishing the time along so I could find out what I was having, or anything like that. This time, however, is a whole different kettle of fish. This time it's driving me mad that I don't know. Well, okay, it's not driving me mad, that's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but I am definitely more keen to find out this time around. I'm 30 weeks pregnant now, so I've passed the point where you typically find out by quite a long way. So I'm not going to find out now at this stage because we're kind of so close to the end, it would be silly. But this time it has definitely played on my mind a lot more. Part of that, I think, is because so many of my friends that vlog and people that I watch on a daily basis that are pregnant at the same time as me, or have been recently, found out and did these beautiful gender reveals, which again you can see on the channel mum page that I've linked below. Because I've got 2 boys and a girl, it's not so much about having a preference about what the gender is, it's more that I kind of, because I know it's my last baby, I kind of want to know what that last member of our family is going to be. Does that make sense? And also I quite would like to have had the experience of finding out midway through and having that excitement and buying the bits for the baby, for a baby boy or a baby girl before it arrives. But I don't know, we definitely talked about it more this time around than we ever have before. I think what swung it for me is that it does give me something to focus on when I'm in labour. And that sounds ridiculous because getting the baby out should be enough to focus on when you're in labour, let's be honest. But I don't know, just that element of surprise and wondering, oh, is it a boy or a girl in there? That does give me something else to occupy my mind. And I quite like finding out after, when you're in the middle of that amazing adrenaline rush and after you've given birth. So I think that's what kind of swung it for me. In terms of preferences, family preferences on what we want it to be, for me, as I've said, I've got my boys and I've got my beautiful girl, and I genuinely will be thrilled either way. My eldest son actually said he'd like it to be a girl, which I was really surprised about. I thought he would say boy, but he would like it to be a girl because he said he can't remember Merrin as a baby, because obviously he was a baby himself. He's seen Aiden as a baby and he'd like to have the experience of having a baby sister. So that's his preference. My daughter is definitely team girl. She really, really wants it to be a girl. Aiden is getting to the age now, he's 4, where he follows his brother around a lot and wants to play the same things as his brother. And he does have a fabulous relationship with his sister as well. And they play really nicely together. But he's turning into a proper little boy and he's very rough and tumble and play fights. And she would just like it to be a girl so she gets that different experience. So that's Merrin's opinion on the matter, and Aiden really wants it to be a boy. He wants a little brother, he wants a little buddy who he can boss about. He's at the stage where, apart from me and Merrin and his nanny, girls are yucky, and he wants it to be a boy so that he can have, you know, a little mini him to kind of play with and cause chaos with. So he's definitely firmly team blue. Dan, like me, doesn't give a monkeys either way. He's just excited for the little baby snuffles and noises and all this amazing stuff that comes with having a new baby. So those were my thoughts on gender reveals and preferences. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. If you're currently pregnant or have had babies, what were your main factors that influenced your decision? I'd love to hear about them. Please do leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to head over to the Channel Mum website. Link will be in the description box to check out all the other videos. There's loads of other videos about this topic and I would definitely recommend you give them a watch. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It would be amazing, and I'll see you in my next one.